Hi students, I hope you are all fine and safe. Last week or 10 days back I told you that I remember I told you that there may be a chance of there might be a change in your syllabus this academic year, but I confirmed that there is no change in your syllabus and your syllabus will be the same as it is. You are going to learn the same topics which your seniors learned. So with that confirmation we are moving forward in the syllabus. Already I have explained you one topic in the first unit, that is about the taxonomical aspects, and this is the second topic, that is the herbarium, functions of the herbarium and the importance of the herbarium. So this is the important topic in the first unit. Okay, that means we are going to learn about the herbarium and its functions and the importance of the herbarium. You already know about herbarium, right? You have an idea what is herbarium and why we preserve the herbarium and why we do the herbarium and what are the functions. You might have a preliminary idea, basic idea about the herbarium. So with that basic idea we will move forward. Okay, now let us see what is herbarium. I guess you are able to see the PowerPoint slides clearly, and you are able to listen my voice also clearly. Okay, so here herbarium means, the definition of herbarium, if we say so, it's just nothing but a collection of plant specimens. Collection of plant specimens means we have to collect the plants, various plants, and we have to store them. So that's simply it is called as a herbarium. So in the process of making the herbarium, or in the preparation of the herbarium, so many steps are there. So stepwise we need to do, and we need to prepare a herbarium. So first of all, a herbarium means collection of plant specimens which have dried later. We have to dry the plant specimens, we have to collect the plants, and we have to dry the plants, and then we have to press the plant specimens and then preserve them. And then after preservation, after some time, we have to mount we have to attach these herbarium, means we have to attach these plant specimens on the herbarium sheets. Okay, for what process means? For identification, of the plant specimens for the future generations. Okay, and also for the classifications. So according to the approved system of classification for future reference and study. So first of all, we need to prepare a herbarium for future reference and for the future studies. So for the future reference and the future studies, to identify a particular plant, and to identify the classification of a particular plant, to which family it belongs to which order it belongs to which class it belongs to. So for identifying and for learning all the necessary information about a particular plant for the future generations, we have to prepare a herbarium. So herbarium is collection of plant specimens, and then dry it, and then press it, and then preserve and attach on the herbarium sheets, and then store it. Okay, so the scientist who is associated with the herbarium first was Luca Ghini. So Luca Ghini, so it's a scientist name. So he actually initiated the process of the preparation of herbarium by collecting the plants, pressing the plants, and then sewing the specimens on the sheet of paper. So sewing means kuttatam. Okay, herbarium sheet ki kuttatam. So sewing, all this process was done first by Luca Ghini. So in a way he is the founder of herbarium. So actually all the plant specimens will be collected from the surroundings or from the far and wide areas, so from the far areas, and mount them, then the sheets, appropriate sheets, and then these sheets will be stored in the wooden cupboards or like pigeon holes of the steel. Means we have to store the prepared herbarium sheets in a wooden almara like, or wooden cupboards like, for study. Okay, and then here you already might have seen the herbarium where we are preserving the herbarium in our college, in our institute. Okay, so we are also having the herbarium almaras, small herbarium almaras, so each almara is having so many shelves, and these shelves, in these shelves we are actually storing the herbarium what we are prepared in our college, right? So the almaras where we actually store the herbarium, they are of different shapes and they are made up of different materials. Some Some almaras are made up of, some cupboards are made up of steel and some are made up of wood, and they are of different designs. Okay, so let us keep that aside. And then modern herbarium. Modern herbarium is the is the one type of herbarium. So there is, in the modern herbarium there will be so much information. Actually in the olden days the herbarium means just people used to collect the rare specimens and rare plants, and they used to just attach them on the herbarium sheets and they just preserve and with the basic information. But the modern herbarium means here we need to give so much information about the plant, means extensive information about the plants, about the actual specimens, and then so much information to publish, the pictures of the plant, the photos of the plant, and the notes, the detailed notes of the plant. Okay, so that's a type of herbarium is known as a modern herbarium. And modern herbarium definition was given by scientists Fosberg and Sachett. Fosberg and Sachett has stated that modern herbarium is a great filling system for information about plants. That just now I have told you that the vast information, the extensive information should be given in the modern herbarium. That is the primary information about the plants, where that is collected, and the photos, and how it looks, means the morphology of the plant, and also the detailed more information about the plants to publish. Okay, so that is the modern herbarium. Okay, and then see, you are seeing in the slide just now, right now, the important herbaria of the world. So before going into how we actually prepare the herbarium and what actually are needed for the preparation of the herbarium technically, so we just will go through this, the importance of the herbarium, and how in the world the herbaria are, and in different countries how the herbaria are. Okay, so this slide is about the important herbaria of the world. The first herbarium of the world, it was founded in 1545 in the University of Padua, Italy. So in Italy the first herbarium was discovered in the University of Padua in year 1545. In the world there are about 1,500 herbaria, 500 recognized herbaria. So recognized, how many are there in the world? There are about 1,500 herbaria are there, 1,500 herbaria are there, besides many small herbaria located in the various universities, various institutions, pharmacies, etc. Okay, so let us see what are the important herbaria in the world. Herbarium, so here one table is given, the name Royal Botanical Garden. So in the herbarium name is Royal Botanical Garden Herbarium. It's located in Kew in London. So it was formed in 1853. It was founded in 1853. So number of herbaria sheets in Royal Botanical Garden herbaria are 65 lakhs nearly. And then in Botanical Institute, second one is Botanical Institute, which is located in Leningrad in Russia country, and it's 1823. It was founded in 1823, and it's nearly again the 50 lakhs of plant specimens are there in that herbaria. And US National Museum, which is located in Washington, and it was founded in 1868, and nearly 30 lakhs of plants are there. And then Royal Botanical Garden in Edinburgh, founded in 1761. Okay, and then 25 lakhs of plants nearly are there. And Arnold Arboretum, located in Boston, and was founded in 1872. Here 7 lakhs of plants are there in that herbarium. So Herbarium of the Rangoon University, which is located in Burma and was founded in 1947, which has it has 15,000 plant specimens. So these are all the important herbaria of the world. And Central National Herbarium, which is in Calcutta in our country, it was founded in 1793, and here we have 25 lakhs of plants in Calcutta Central National Herbarium. And Indian Council for Forest Research Institute, which is located in Dehradun and was founded in 1874, here we have 3 lakhs of plants nearly. And Botanical Survey of India, Southern Circle, Coimbatore, which was founded in 1874, has 2 lakhs of plants nearly. And Botanical Survey of India, Eastern Circle of India, which is located in Shillong, which was founded in 1956, has 1 lakh plants. And Botanical Survey of India, Western Circle of India, Pune, which was founded in 1956, has 1 lakh 35 plants. And Botanical Survey of India, Northern Circle, Dehradun, it's 1956, and it was founded in 1956 and has approximately 60,000 herbarium sheets. And the Botanical Survey of India, which was in Central Circle, Allahabad, which was founded in 1955. It nearly has 40,000 plants. Okay, so these are all the important herbaria of the world. So first sheet of herbaria is about the other countries, in the other countries important herbaria, and the second this slide shows all the important herbaria in India. And now coming to the functions of the herbarium. So what are the functions of the herbarium? Any functions are there? If so, what are the functions? So let us discuss one by one. So first function of the herbarium is to conserve the plant material and the data. Data means nothing but the plant specimens, actual physical materials, the plant specimens, the collected plant materials, and then the information about the plants, the detailed information and then the basic information. So all the information about the about your collected plant, that is called as the data. So the function of herbarium is to conserve the physical plant material and also the data related to the plant material for the sake of future generations. And the second function of the herbaria is to is for the accurate identification of plants. Means if the herbaria is there, if just now we have learnt about the important herbaria in different parts of the world, right? So in some herbaria 50 lakhs of plants are there, in some herbaria 40 lakhs of plants are there, in some herbaria 10 lakhs of plants are there. Means what? Means that the information, the detailed information, the extensive information of that many plants, 50 lakhs of plants information is stored in that herbaria. Means the future generations, if at all they have any doubt about a particular plant, they can actually compare the data of the herbaria which already has been stored by, given by the authenticated persons. So means herbaria will be helpful for the identification of plants throughout the world. Third, next function is, if you have identified any plant and you don't know what is the plant name is, then immediately you can, what we will do, we will ask others. If anyone has any idea, we will ask in our surroundings, we will ask in our college institute, we will just check with our university. If not, we will check with our state boards, state herbaria, and then if not, we will go to the national level and also international level. So by this, if at all any doubt is there, what is the plant name, if the plant name is correct or not, okay, so then we have to we can get the authentication from the herbarium. Means we will check the name whether it is correct or not with the authenticated herbaria in the world. Okay, so that authenticated material, authenticated plant material, which is stored in the different national important herbaria institutes, that is called as the type material. The type material is the one which is stored already by the authenticated persons and in an authenticated manner, and an authenticated information is there. Authenticated means everything is checked and verified as correct, as true. Okay, so that is known as the authenticated. So that type of material is known as the type material. Type material will be always at the national level and also at the international level. So that is known as a type material. So through the type material, all the future generations will get to know, so what is the name of the plant, and is the name of the plant which we identified is correct or not. So like that. So that is also the function of the herbarium. And then the herbaria, already whatever the herbaria we have seen now, we have learnt now all the important herbaria of the world. So from those all the herbaria, so we can get the 50,000 or 60,000, so whatever you just learnt. So in different herbaria, how many plants are stored. So we can get those many plants distribution details. So where those all plants are distributed and what is the ecology of the plant. Ecology means, so in what climatic conditions, in what habitats that plant lives, and what are the medicinal uses of the plant. So all that detailed information of the plants will be available with the type material. So that is also the function of the herbarium, which is helpful for the future generations. And also scientific observations like so how the plant behaves to climatic change, and how the plant behaves to genetic changes, and how the plant is actually be conserved. So all the details of the scientific observations, means the depth observations. So all the scientific observations also will be done with the help of the type materials which are being stored in all the national herbaria and also the famous international herbarial institutes. Okay, and then And also obviously these herbaria also will helpful in all the research activities and also in the teaching activities. Like if we are going to study about a particular family in our syllabus, so that particular family the plants which are present in a family, all that plants information we will be getting from the authenticated type material which are being stored in the herbarium, and we are extracting the information, the detailed information from the authentic plant material from the herbaria. So these are all the functions of the herbaria, means uses of the herbaria and also the functions of the herbaria. And then coming to the detailed uses of the herbaria. So actually herbaria are used for the plant taxonomy. Taxonomy means the study of plants, study of the plants which are belonging to different taxa, which are being distributed in various geographical regions, and studying their morphology, studying their activity. So that's all, and study of the plants, and then identifying the plants, and naming the plants, and then classifying the plants. So based on the identification, nomenclature and classification, and dividing the plants, and then extracting the identifying the plant, and basing on the identification identifying the characters of the plant. So study of the plant in detail of a particular family. So all this comes under the taxonomy. Okay, so herbaria will helpful obviously in the study of the plant taxonomical studies, and also herbaria will helpful in the study of geographical distributions of the plant. Suppose for example mango plant is there. So the mango plant normally grows in which regions, in what climatic conditions. So what is the morphology of the plant, and what is the reproductive morphology of the plant, and what is the anatomy of the plant, and what is the secondary growth of the plant. So everything, every detail, the plant belongs to which class, which order, which family, based on which characters, how the plant is being classified, so how the plant is being named. So everything about the nomenclature, classification, the characters of the plant, the distribution of the plant, and then the more details about the flowers, stems, leaves, seeds and fruits of the plant. So all these, everything we will get to know from the herbaria. And then from the herbaria we can actually can identify the flora and flora in our surrounding areas. Means suppose if it has we can identify the plants, and we can classify the plants, we can try to classify the plants, we can try to identify the plant based on these herbaria. And then suppose it's herbaria, it provides a historical record of change in vegetation over time. Means how 1000 years back the plants used to be there, how 500 years back the plants how the plants used to be, and how the 200 years back the plants used to be, how the plants used to be 5000 years back. So like that. So it gives a historical representation of the plants. Like if we store the in herbaria, in international herbaria, plants of 500 plants or plants of those plants are not right now on the earth. They being extinct, means they being completely degenerated, but the information about these plants also will be there in herbaria to give us some information. Means what kind of plants, which kind of plants used to be there 5000 years back, 10,000 years back, which kind of plants used to live, and what is their morphology. So all that information, all that historical information we can get through the herbarium. So, and also how the plants will be distributed, would have been distributed in the past time. So all that information we can get through the herbarium. And also through the field notebooks and through the manuals also we can identify the plants. And then these environmental scientists, whoever are doing the research on the plants right now in the present era, so they actually track the changes, they identify the changes in the plants which used to live now in the current era, and also the plants which used to live in the past 5000 years back, 10,000 years back, or 500 years back. So they used to track the differences in the plants. So how the plants used to live in different climatic conditions then, and how the plants are surviving and they are resisting the climatic changes, and how the plants are adapting to the climatic changes now. And also the human impact, how the human impact is there on the plants right now in the present era, and how the humans impacted the plants in the past era. So for all the different and various kinds of research, so the herbaria are helpful for the tracking, for the identification, for the comparison, so that we can get more and more information. So these are all the uses of herbaria. And then coming into the role of the herbaria. So role of herbaria means, so what is the actual role playing? Means we already discussed the role of the herbaria. So herbaria plays an important role in taxonomy field. Taxonomy means identification, nomenclature and classification of a plant. So we can discover a plant and we can confirm the identity of a plant by comparing the previous herbaria, by comparing the plants which are being stored in the previous herbaria. So in this way, that for all the taxonomical research, the herbarium is useful. And also just now, as we discussed, we can compare the plants which used to live in the past with the plants which used to live in the present era. So thereby the research can be done in various areas like genetics, like taxonomy, like physiology. So all the physiology of the plants, all the genetics of the genetical studies of the plant also, so much information is stored in the herbaria, which are authentical, which we can get the authentic information from the already stored herbaria. And so that is the role of herbaria in research field also. And herbarium provides actual material for making morphological measurements. So suppose if 500 years back, if any tree is there, suppose a mango plant is collected 500 years back and it's being stored in the herbaria, and now you go a mango plant and collected in your college surroundings now, and then actually you can go and compare with the mango plant which used to live 500 years back by extracting the information from the authentic herbaria, and you can identify the changes of the morphology, and you can actually go and study the genetic changes. If you are interested, we can go for the genetic changes and physiological changes, how the plant used to be there in 500 years back and how the plants used to be there in the present. So all the different studies in the various areas also we can compare with the authentic herbaria. So this is the role of the herbaria. Mainly the herbaria helps in the taxonomical research. Not only taxonomical research, it helps in genetic studies, it helps in all the present era research studies. And we can verify the plant names also, whether that is the correct or name, the Latin name of the plant is correct or not. We can verify the plant. And we can actually, the type specimens are being considered as the repository. Repository means it's a collection. So we can actually store the type specimens, and then we can compare with the authenticated herbaria. And then the herbaria which is used to being stored since 5000 years or 500 years, we can actually compare the DNA of the plants in the past with the DNA of the plants right now. Means we can actually compare how the DNA in the suppose if you take any hibiscus plant, okay, so for example, if you take hibiscus plant now, hibiscus malvacearum, suppose if you are collecting the hibiscus malvacearum plant, and if you do the studies of how the DNA of the hibiscus malvacearum now, and then if we are interested, we can go back to 500 years and we can go back to the herbaria which are being stored 500 years back, and we can go back to the particular hibiscus malvacearum plant which is being stored 500 years back, and then we can compare the actual DNA of that plant with the DNA of this plant. Why? Because actually that type of information is luckily for some plants, luckily the physical plant material is still available, and but some plants it's not available. Means only the data is available, the written data is available. Even though written data is available, it's quite authentic information. So that's why we can compare with the in that way we can compare with the data of the present era plant with the past plant. Means we can do the DNA analysis also using the herbarium. And then we can provide, and the herbaria can provide information on rare plants and extinct plants, means which the plants are not right now. Means suppose if a plant is already extincted, is in extinct condition 100 years ago, it's degenerated 100 years ago, if the plant is not available right now for us for our studies, then we can go and research on the plant by using the herbaria which is being stored 100 years ago or in the past, whatever, in how many years it is. Okay, so whatever the plants which we are not right now which we are not able to find in nature, right now. So those information also we can go and study, we can go and extract from the herbaria. This is all the important role of herbarium. And then coming into the next important aspect of the herbarium, that is the preparation of herbarium. So what is the for the preparation of herbarium, what we actually need, what are the equipment needed, and what are the tools needed for the preparation of the herbarium. So you all know, you might have a basic idea about how the herbarium is prepared, right? You all have basic idea. We need to collect the plants. For collection of plants, we need some we can collect the plants. If the plant is weak, and if the plant is very small, we can collect the plant, we can dig out the plant with our own hands, okay. And or we can use instruments like some diggers and some trowels, పారల్ లాంటివి, అలాగే పలుగు లాంటివి, పారల్ లాంటివి, అలాగే కొన్ని ఉపయోగించి మనము మొక్కని తవ్వి తీసేయచ్చు కదా. సో మీకు కొంత ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఉంది. సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ వీ నీడ్ సమ్ ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ఫర్ ద హెర్బేరియం ప్రిపరేషన్ ఇన్ అథెంటిక్ వే, రైట్? వాట్ ఈస్ దట్? ఫస్ట్ వీ నీడ్ టు కలెక్ట్ ద ప్లాంట్, వీ నీడ్ టు డిగ్ అవుట్ ద ప్లాంట్. అంటే మొక్కని మనం పైకి తీసేయాలి, రూట్స్తో సహా తీయాలి, okay. So we need to dig out the plants with the roots and rhizomes of herbaceous plants, and then we have to collect the complete plant using some specific equipment like digger or trowel. And then we need to use sometimes knife also, some pruning knife, which is required for cutting the branches and other plant parts. Suppose if you want to only store a particular plant part, like if you want to only store the branch of a particular plant, then you use it to need some knife for cutting the plant parts, okay. And then a pair of pruning shears and scissors for cutting the woody and hardy material. So దాన్ని ఏమంటారంటే ఒక బిగ్ సైజ్డ్ నైఫ్స్, okay. And then different kinds of knives, different sizes of knives, and different kinds of equipments in various sizes. That depends on the plant which you are going to collect. Suppose if it is a very large plant and it is very large sized plant, it's very old plant and woody plant with so much secondary growth, so you need hard equipment to actually collect the material. And again what we are needed more is the vasculum. After you collect the material from herbaceous plants or woody plants, whether that is the entire plant or whether that is the only part of the plant like branch, flower, seed, or anything which you want to store, which you want to collect. So then you need to preserve that plant material in some box like thing, right? So that box like thing, that container, which is useful for handling the material and also keeping all the collected plant specimens fresh before pressing them. So that is known as the vasculum, oka tagara pette lantidi, oka box lantidi. And then we need more blotting papers, and also we need collecting bags, and then we need the hand lens means we need to observe the plant, we need to read the plant, we need to actually study the plant through the lens. And then we need a pencil and we need a camera to actually take a photos of the plant. And then we need an altimeter means it is the equipment which is used for the measuring heights. And also we need the plant press and also folders. So all these materials will be required for the preparation of herbarium in an authentic manner. And also we need a field notebook, means in the field notebook, which we actually note the details of the plant when during the collection itself, the time of the collection, date of the collection, and then the area of and then the area where you have collected the plant, the time at which actually you collected the plant, and then the date on which you collected the plant, and then the geographic details of the plant, and then the climatic conditions where the plant lives, and also the height of the the height of the area, so where the plant actually resides. So all these basic information we actually note down in the field notebook on the date of collection itself. So along with this we need a particular equipment to dig out the plant along with the roots, okay. Some small knives and some scissors we need, some knives we need, and some digger or trowel we need okay. And then so all these types of various equipments we need for the preparation of the herbarium. So specimens, the plant specimens, they have actually the two parts. First one is the plant materials and the second one is the label. So herbarium is having the two parts, like on the herbarium sheet actually you are going to attach the plant material which you already collected, and then along with the plant material you are going to write some information, you are going to write the details of the plant on the label of the herbarium. So these are the two parts of the herbarium. These are actually the two parts of the herbarium: the actual physical plant and plant material, and actually the data, which is the important data which is related to the plant material, on the which we are going to write on the herbarium sheet. Okay, and then coming to the actual techniques of the herbarium, how the herbarium will be prepared, and what are the steps in the preparation of the herbarium. So let us see one by one. So herbarium preparation, it involves a series of activities, series of operations, such as collecting, we have to collect the plants, and then pressing, we have to press the plants, and then drying, we have to dry the plants, and then poisoning. I'll say what is poisoning and why it is needed in the preparation of the herbarium. Okay, and poisoning, and then mounting means attaching the plant on the herbarium sheet, and then stitching. Sometimes attaching only it's not sufficient. We need to stitch the plant to the herbarium sheet. And then labeling. Labeling means we have to attach a label, and we have to write all the details of the information of the plant on the label. And then filling and deposition. Filling and deposition means we have to completely fill the herbarium sheet with all the details required, and then we have to deposit the herbarium in a herbarium cabinet. Okay, so one by one we'll see the steps. First one is collection. So we need to collect the plants. That collection should be in our surroundings, or it should be in a specific area, 1,000 kilometers or 10,000 kilometers away from you, or lakhs of kilometers away. That depends on the person's interest on which plant he needs to collect, he or she needs to collect. So herbaceous, and we also should have an idea about that, what actually, which plant we need to collect, and what we are going to study actually, what we need to collect. Okay, what type of plants we need to collect, and in which family plants we need to collect, and which exact plant you need to collect. And then you have to actually collect. You need to decide yourself that you actually need the whole plant for your studies, or you only need particular plant part, like branch, flower, seed, fruit, like that. So herbaceous small plant specimen, normally a plant specimen, an ideal plant specimen, it should bear all the plant parts, like flowers. The ideal plant specimen should bear all the plant parts, like flowers and fruits. Okay, means we need to collect the plant with flower and fruits, then only it is called as an ideal. Means we can study the flower morphology, and we can also study the flower anatomy, flower physiology, and we can study the fruit if it is there. If we collect the fruit, we can study the fruit in detail also. So the ideal plant material or ideal plant specimen is the one which is complete plant part, not only the fraction of the part. It should be complete, with roots, with the stem, with the branches, with flowers, with fruits. Everything should be there. Then only we can study in detail about the plant. So in that way we should collect the plants. If at all any underground parts are there, we need to collect along with the underground parts are there. Okay, suppose బంగాళదుంప ఉంది, ఒక ఉల్లిపాయ ఉంది, onion and potato. So onion and potato, if you need to study on the onion plant and potato plant, like Solanum tuberosum and Allium cepa, so you need to collect those plants along with the underground parts also. And then an ideal plant should be on the herbarium, we minimum require a twig, a comma. Minimum require a twig of about 25 centimeters. That the length of twig should be 25 centimeters. It should have leaves and it should have flowers, and then only it forms as an ideal material to study. Okay, you have to collect the twig of about 25 centimeters with leaves and flowers, which forms as an ideal material. Okay, and then after collection, immediately you need to note in your field notebook. Field notebook, which data you have observed while collecting the plant. And then soon after the specimens are collected, your plants are collected, they should be pressed in the field itself. So there only, in the field only, suppose if you go with a notebook, a pencil, so you immediately collect a twig of about 25 centimeters with leaves and flowers, and then you immediately keep it in your notebook. So that is known as the pressing in the collection area itself. And then you come to your home, and then whatever you collected, the twigs of the plant material, which is along with the leaves and flowers, they should be carefully placed in the center of the pressing sheets. Already you collect the, you get the pressing sheets, herbarium sheets, or normally some people will press the plants using some pressing material. So the pressing material may be papers, somebody use newspapers. If the plant is very delicate, we can use newspapers for pressing, so without actually destroying the plant. And then in some people will actually press the plants with the material using the wooden equipment and the steel material. So if the so actually these specimens are will be large enough, and these specimens we can store. If the plant is very lengthy, so you can fold the plant in the shape of V or N or W. You can fold the plant in the form of V shape, N shape and W shape. So if the plant is very lengthy and it's having the width also more, so then you need to fold the plant without destroying or destructing the plant. So you need to get the plant in the form of V shape or N shape or W shape, and then you should press the plant. So that is known as pressing. So the pressing or the folding of the plant, it should be uniform. Not like at some area the plant will be thick and some area the plant will be thin. So the pressing should be uniform in the relating to the thickness. Okay, both sides the plants should be same, and the plant specimens should be kept one over another. So this is about the pressing information which we need to know while preparing about the herbarium, preparing the herbarium. And then after pressing, during the pressing time itself, actually while after we got the plant material to the home, we need to remove the soil, whatever it is there attached with the material, and then with the help of the plywood or with the help of the cardboard or the cardboard pairs, or with the help of plywood. So you cut the plywood or the hardboard in a sheets, like in herbarium sheets, like same say with the same size like that of the plant material. And means like you first after coming to our house, then we need to just remove the soil or remove the waste material which is being attached with the plant material, and then we need to get a surface onto which we need to keep the plant and then press the plant. So for that we can use the cardboard, we can use the plywood, or we can use the papers, or we can use the wood material, or we can use the steel material also, plastic material also. That depends on the plant which we already collected. And one thing we need to take care is that the plant material shouldn't destroy. The plant material shouldn't there shouldn't be any destruction, or there shouldn't be any destroyal while pressing. Okay, the plant material need to be carefully pressed, and then it is after that we have to arrange the plant material on the blotting paper. First we need to arrange the plant material on blotting paper, without destroying the character of the plant. And then not all the plant parts should be pressed and dried in the same way. Suppose the flower is there, if whatever you collected in the plant part, if a flower is there, you need to preserve the flower in a different way, you need to preserve the fruit in a different way, you need to preserve the leaves in a different way. Not all the parts will be preserved, and then not all the parts will be preserved and can be kept safe. Okay, so we need to adopt different pressing strategies, we need to adopt to different drying strategies, we need to adopt the different preservation techniques depending on the plant part, like leaves, flowers and fruits. Okay, and then without destroying the plant, or without actually destructing the plant. So once all the samples have been included, cover with top board. Okay, so all the plants which have been included means, so we already took care of the pressing, and we already dried, and we used the blotting paper, and we preserved the different parts of the plant in different manners. Suppose if fruit is there, if there is any need, the fruit can be only stored by using certain liquids like formalin. So we have to preserve the fruit of a particular plant specimen material in formalin solution. Okay, so like that we need to adapt it to different techniques. And then after taking care of all this, cover the plant material with some top board, using the hardboard or plywood, and then place bricks or heavy object. So if we place heavy object on the plant part, then only we can apply the pressure to be so that the plant can be pressed, right? So the plant need to be pressed tight. At the same time, the plant shouldn't be destroyed. The plant shouldn't get damaged. So we need to take utmost care while pressing so that the plant can't be damaged by the use of the material which we are going to press the material, which we are going to press the plant. If the plant is very delicate, you actually can't apply the more pressure by using the plywood or hardboard like that. We have to use the simple blotting papers or the normal newspapers like that. If the plant is very heavy, if the plant part is very heavy object, then only we can use the heavy objects to press that. So depending upon the plant material which we are going to press, so that we need to decide with which type of material we need to press. Okay, means the ultimate point here is the plant shouldn't get damaged. Any plant part shouldn't get damaged. If at all we can't preserve the whole plant in the same manner, what we need to do means we need to separate the plant parts. Like we need to separate the flower, and then we have to preserve that flowering using some different conditions, and then we need to, if we have to preserve the fruit applying various different methods, then we need to cut the fruit from the plant material, and then we need to separately preserve that particular plant fruit using the solution or whatever the technique which it suits. Okay, so the important point here is so all the plant parts are not same. They are not having same morphology. Some plant parts are smooth and they just need only small amount of pressure to press, and some plant parts are very hard, so they need more amount of pressure for pressing. So depending on that, logically we need to use the pressing equipment, and we need to take the pressing measures and also the drying measures. And then suppose if we store the plant material using the papers and all this, by covering up the plant materials, so we have to change the papers very frequently for every 2 days until the plant specimens completely will be dried. So if at all any humid climate is there, if at all any moisture is more there, then we need to change the papers very frequently, not for 2 days, change daily. Okay, so that depends on the climatic situations. If moisture is more, then we need to change the papers very frequently. If moisture is less, and if we are in dry conditions, actually we can change the papers for every 2 days also. That depends on the moisture and the temperature. Because moisture always damages the plant, so we need to take utmost care that the moisture shouldn't be there while the plant is being pressed or the plant is being dried. And after that, we need to place that after pressing, we need to place that plant material we need to attach that plant, stitch the plant on that herbarium sheet, attach the plant on the herbarium sheet, and then we need to keep those herbarium sheets in a cabinet. That cupboard or the cabinet which we are using for the herbarium sheets for the storage, it should be drying cabinet. The air passage should be there in that. Okay, so next every 24 hours we need to check whether the herbarium is safe, sheets are safe or not, if any contamination is there, if the plant material is being damaged or not. So we need to check every 24 hours. And then blotting papers need to be changed if you are storing with the help of blotting papers. And then artificial heat, sometimes if the moisture is more and then there is no heat at all in the atmosphere, then you need to provide heat artificially from the external side. Okay, and then after drying completely, then some plants need only 2 to 3 days for complete drying, and some plants need more time, even some 2 to 3 weeks also for complete drying, and some plants need more time, like 2 to 3 months also. So after this drying and drying process, then we need to poison the plants. Why to poison the plants means, poisoning means we need to apply some chemicals to the plant so that there won't be any pests or bacteria or virus won't attack the plant. So for keeping the plant safe, for avoiding the attack by fungus or pests and microorganisms, mercuric chloride, formalin, so all these will be used to apply to the plant. If at all you are going to use mercury chloride, dip the whole plants in a saturated solution of mercury chloride in ethyl alcohol for 15 to 20 minutes. Means mercury chloride and ethyl alcohol both should be mixed in a particular proportion, and then the whole plant will be dipped in that solution for 15 to 20 minutes. So if by doing all this, you are protecting the plant from the unwanted fungus or pests so that it can't be damaged. And then some people use the formalin depending on the kind of plant they are going to store. So formalin, it's 10% of formalin it is used using the collection tools itself. Suppose if the some people just take along with them the formalin bottles also to their field trips, and then at the same place where the plant material is being collected, immediately the plant material is stored in the formalin bottles so that the plant won't get damaged until you reach the home. That depends on the situation, and it depends on what type of plant you are using. Suppose some type of plant you are going 1000 kilometers away to the field, which is 1000 kilometers away from your house, and you are collecting the plant there, and to return and to travel all those 1000 kilometers all the way to the house, it takes time, right? So during those time the plant may get damaged. So for that, to prevent the damage, some people just take along with them the formalin bottles and this mercury chloride bottles also. And along with this formalin and mercury chloride, fumigation means some killing the pests from mounted or unmounted specimens. Fumigation technique is also used, like ethylene chloride. Ethylene chloride will be used in 3:1 ratio. It is sprayed on the herbarium specimens in 3:1 ratio. It is fumigated to protect the plants from pests. And after taking all these measures, you are going to mount the plant on a herbarium sheet. The herbarium sheet is normally about, the size of the herbarium sheet is about normally 29 into 42 centimeters, 29 width and 42 centimeters length. So their herbarium sheets normally made up of durable cord sheets. They are made up of cord sheets, thick sheets, and these all the dried specimens, they are attached, glued on the herbarium sheets. And the stems or branches, suppose if the stem or branch is not attached or completely glued with the then you can use, or you can stitch the stem or branches. You can stitch that with the type of twine thread, and then also you can use the cellophane tapes. By using the cellophane tapes also you can attach the stems or branches to the herbarium sheet. And each herbarium sheet you need to attach only one plant specimen on one herbarium sheet. So that is the ideal method. You can't attach 4 or more 5 specimens on a single herbarium sheet. And then loose parts, suppose the dissected parts and the loose parts are there, like flowers which are being withering and which are being very delicate. The flowers, fruits and seeds, they are kept in separate paper packets and also pasted on the mounted sheets if required. And then the labeling, the last one is labeling. So after doing all these process, after doing all these steps one by one in the preparation of herbarium, then you have to label the herbarium. So your institution name, normally on the label what the details are: the institution name, family name of the plant, botanical name of the plant, and the local name of the plant. So in the local area, what the plant name is, and then the locality of collection. So where actually you collected the plant material, and the date of collection, and the habitat of the plant. So what is the habitat of the plant? Whether you collected the plant in a desert area, or whether you collected the plant in forest area, or whether you collected the plant in aquatic area. So that need to be specified in the label. And then whatever you written the information on the collected date, the field notes information, all should be labeled. And then the collection and your collection number, and what is the number you given to that particular plant, and then your name of the collector. So who is the person that collected. So all this information and all these details will be labeled. And then after the labeling, you need to synthesis, preparation of herbarium sheets is completely over, and then these herbarium sheets are properly mounted and then properly identified, and then they are actually filled systematically in a proper way along all the plants belonging to the same family will be stored in a particular wooden cabinet or particular wooden drawers. So family wise, order wise, or class wise, whatever it is, you classify the plants, and then based on the classification in a systematic way, you need to store in the special wooden cabinets or steel cabinets or folders, so to store your herbarium. So indicating upon your storage should be like it is in a systematic way, like based on the species, based on the genus and the family. Suppose if the plants you collected 100 plants belonging to the same species. So all those 100 plant herbaria will be stored in the same wooden cabinet, so that it can be easy to you for identification. So it should be applied to the same like genus and the family area also. So plants are arranged, normally the plants are arranged and stored in the herbarium cabinets based on the Bentham-Hooker's classification and also the Engler and Prantl system of classification normally. Which you are going to learn about what is Bentham-Hooker's classification and what is Engler-Prantl system of classification in your future classes. Okay, and then some prepared plant specimens, they are actually stored in a sealed plastic bag. Suppose if the plant material is not attached with the herbarium sheet, then it should be stored in a sealed plastic bag, and then it freezes for 72 hours. It should be freezed for 72 hours in a temperature. It all depends on the type of material. Some plant materials need to be stored need to be freezed at low temperatures, and then only freezing method is only the storing of some plant material. So in that way you need to store. All plant materials won't be safe, like pressing and drying and then attaching to the herbaria. Some plant materials won't be safe like that. Some plant materials will be stored in different manners, like you need to collect the plant materials and you should put in a plastic bag, and you should keep that plastic bag, you should keep that preserved material means by at particular temperature, maintaining a particular temperature and pressure. So that is a freezing method. And then normally the most common pests of the herbarium. So what are the normal pests which are attacked from the herbarium is about the biscuit beetle, Stegonium paniceum. So these are the normal pests which actually attack the herbaria, biscuit beetle and Stegobium paniceum. So regular freezing is recommended, and for every 6 months you need to put the herbaria and you need to expose the herbaria to very low temperatures, to freezing temperatures, for removing the pests and for removing the infections, for protecting the herbarium sheets from damage. And you need to apply the chemicals also, and by repoisoning like mercury chloride and whatever the chemicals we used, formalin, mercury chloride. So all those chemicals also we need to apply regularly depending upon the plant material, every 3 months or every 2 months or every 6 months, depends on the plant. So mercury chloride we need to apply to the plant, and insect repellents also we should use it. We should spray to the herbarium sheets to protect the herbarium sheets from damage, and to protect the valuable plants from being lost. So we need to take care about all the measures, not only the pressing, collection, pressing, mounting, stitching, and preserving all that, but we need to every 2 months, every 1 month, every week or so, frequently we need to check the plants so that the plants can't be damaged. So these are all the herbarium techniques. So in this way the herbarium is corrected. So in this presentation we actually discussed about the what is herbarium and who discovered the herbarium, and what are the important herbaria worldwide, and what are the important herbaria in India, and what is the process of herbarium, significance of herbarium, uses of herbarium, role of herbarium, and also what is the process of herbaria. So all this we discussed in this presentation. Okay, so listen to this video 2 to 3 times and take down your notes. Thank you.